Music isn't a hobby, yet it still hasn't been considered, like some of the other arts, a job. It can't be defined by earthly or social terms because its origin isn't natively from humanity, but humanism in the creative sense. But for this documentary, it's a hobby. I suppose it was a bunch of small things. There was no single big sign, but it was a combination of my mother teaching me as a child, finding the unrivaled talent and skill of my cousin, and my father's audiophiliac purchases. My parents wanted me to learn piano at around 5 or 6. There was no theory in it, it was purely the physical aspect of pressing notes. After a while, they agreed to sign me up to a local teacher where I studied more for a while before he had to go back to university.
It was actually me who taught him first how to read the notes, their names, the tempo, the symbols, and the counts and the beats. So very basic then. I think he was 5 when I first introduced this to him.
In today, music has become an industry. The normalcy and regularity of the art has reduced its meaning to null. The backbone, which is theory, has now been outweighed by the overthought emotion. In other words, the current era of pop music consists of very simple music. A fascinating realization about music is the concept that we are toying with sound. The idea of manipulating the way air moves through a plethora of ways is chilling. In the later half of year 9, I met the catalyst of my musicianship, my cousin, distant cousin. What was unfathomable to me was that he was the same age, race, and with scarily similar interests. His music taste at the time consisted of classical music, specifically late romantic. The passion he had amazed me as someone who had no strong passions and pushed me to follow music just as he did.
Music is almost like, say, a therapist, because it helps me process my emotions and how I feel about certain subjects in my life, as well as helps me process emotions. Generally, it's like a constant which I can always rely on to help me through tough times. Hello, my name is I'm and close friend. I'm a composer and I've been writing for 5 or so years now, and I've been studying music even longer. I believe I did have a hand in the furthering of his music knowledge, as well as his usage of texture, harmony, and melody in his works, as well as maybe influencing the type of music he listens to.
It's mainly listeners and composers. You're either both or a listener. I also think that each genre houses a subsection of people who are passionate about it. The main wall that divides the community in two is whether you understand theory or not. This birthed the controversial topic of whether music is truly appreciated if you understand theory. The idea and concept of manipulating sound is somewhat captivating when compared to the other arts which are visual, such as drawing, painting, and sculpture. Then infusing that fabricated sound with emotion, stories, and feelings is what compels me to be a musician. I underwent proper and official training through as well as private music schools that I both studied and taught at. During this time, I had begun my journey into composition.
We went to the music school together under different teachers. While I was under a concert pianist, he was under a jazz pianist. You could tell that had different influences on how we both tackled playing the piano, as well as being a musician in general. Our musicianship was a little different, but overall we were still both pianists and still both performers. There were, however, differences in how we approached music and how we played certain pieces, with different interpretations, different ideas on how the music should sound, different ideas on phrasing, on texture, on all of that. I think we were in there for about a year or more.
The school I taught at was a academy that the cousin was the head of music of. I was his teaching assistant. It was at this time I found out that teaching younger kids perhaps isn't the best path to pursue.
Last thing then, name the notes that are in the Among Us theme song.
We also taught a music class together for a short amount of time. He was acting as my assistant teacher, while I was the main teacher. He tended to be more calm than I was, while I was more, I had a tendency to become more stressed more often. He was quite helpful in that aspect.
After a couple terms at that academy, I was personally invited by the CEO to attend the graduation ceremony for the students. It was an otherworldly experience, being surrounded by important people in an important place with seemingly infinite food. There are many, many different ways people enjoy music, as a hobby or not. The way I do is by finding music that is unheard of. The undergroundness and lack of presence some genres have can usually relate to how good the music is. The fact that I'm one of the few people who know of it makes it cool. Another way I enjoy music is by making the music I like, usually the ones I want to hear, which is essentially what it is to be an artist. You make what you want, even if it currently exists or not. Another way is by listening to or reviewing music that my peers like or make. The interactions that I have with them can usually lead to eye-opening realizations or opportunities. My time abroad was like none other, but like many things, it was not destined to last. What am I doing in the hobby now? Shortly after my move back, the cousin had informed me that his boss was seeking an artist. The cousin had just started engaging in online commissions with his music, and the commissioner needed something other than romantic impressionism. I stepped up. The bewildering sensation of selling my music was the dawn of my dream, making my art profitable. In other words, doing what I love and getting paid for it.